The words sliced through the marble showroom of Meridian Fine Jewelry like a blade turning a quiet Saturday afternoon into a public arena of humiliation. "Sir, I am calling building security immediately, because you clearly do not belong in any establishment of this caliber." Jennifer Walsh, the impeccably dressed store manager, stood with her arms crossed, her designer suit radiating authority as her cold, calculative gaze locked onto the man standing by the premium display cases. That man was Marcus Chen, wearing a modest gray cotton hoodie, plain dark denim jeans, and a pair of worn sneakers that looked entirely out of place amidst the crystal chandeliers and gleaming glass counters. 12 high-profile customers instantly stopped their low-pitched conversations, turning their heads to watch the unfolding drama, while several hands subtly slid into purses and pockets to retrieve smartphones. The weekend rush had just found its unexpected entertainment, but nobody in that room had any idea that this very interaction was being recorded by multiple eyes, or that the man in the simple hoodie possessed the hidden power to completely dismantle the manager's career and rewrite the entire corporate structure of the multi-million-dollar luxury brand within the next 10 minutes. This wasn't a typical misunderstanding in a high-end retail boutique. It was a calculated demonstration of institutional prejudice, a moment where an arrogant gatekeeper decided to judge a human being entirely by his clothing, completely unaware that she was speaking to the absolute owner, majority shareholder, and chief executive officer of the very company that signed her paychecks. Marcus remained perfectly centered, his dark eyes meeting Jennifer's hostile stare without a single flicker of anger or panic, his calm demeanor serving as a stark contrast to the thick, toxic tension that was beginning to suffocate the entire showroom floor. Jennifer took a deliberate step forward, her high heels clicking loudly against the polished, imported Italian tile as she raised her voice just enough to ensure her stage whisper carried perfectly across the entire room to where her subordinates were watching. "Sarah, call building security right now," she commanded, gesturing toward the young retail associate behind the counter. "This gentleman seems completely confused about our clientele, our pricing, and the purpose of our establishment, and I will not have our VIP clients disrupted by individuals who are simply looking for a pawn shop or a place to loiter." Sarah fumbled nervously with the internal telephone receiver, her fingers trembling as her eyes darted anxiously between Marcus's serene countenance and her manager's aggressive, unyielding posture. "Are you absolutely sure?" Sarah whispered, her voice cracking under the pressure of the intense environment. "He hasn't actually done anything disruptive, and he was just waiting quietly near the central collection." "Do not question my judgment on the showroom floor," Jennifer hissed back, her face flushing with authoritative irritation. "I know exactly who belongs in this store and who is a security risk. Now, make the call immediately before I have to log a formal complaint against you with district management." Marcus didn't utter a single word of protest, nor did he attempt to defend his right to exist in a public retail space. Instead, he casually lifted his left wrist to check his watch, noting that it was exactly 10 minutes past 4 in the afternoon. His first-class flight to New York was scheduled to depart from LAX at 8 o'clock that evening, giving him plenty of time, but he had made a sacred promise to his eldest daughter that he would personally pick up her graduation gift today. The custom-designed bracelet had been locked in the store's high-security vault for over a week, waiting for this exact moment, a symbol of years of hard work and dedication that was now being overshadowed by a manager's fragile ego. "Sir, let me ask you one final time. Are you entirely certain you are in the correct place?" Jennifer pressed her voice dripping with a patronizing tone that made sweeping assumptions about credit limits, social status, and racial profiling. "I am exactly where I need to be." Marcus replied, his voice remarkably steady, carrying a deep, resonant baritone that commanded immediate attention despite his casual attire. He reached slowly into his front jacket pocket, carefully ensuring his movements were completely non-threatening, and pulled out a small, exquisite black leather notebook, along with a sleek fountain pen. With precise, calm movements, he jotted down Jennifer Walsh's name directly from the gleaming gold badge pinned to her lapel, followed by the exact timestamp of 4:11 p.m., while the store's digital promotional display counted down the final minutes of their annual spring event in bright red neon numbers. "Do you happen to have a pre-arranged consultation appointment, sir?" Jennifer asked, her eyes narrowing as she noticed him writing in the notebook. "Because our standard personalized consultation fees start at $200 per hour, and we do not permit general browsing of our premium artifact collections without verified credentials. I was never made aware that browsing a public showroom required a financial deposit or a formal appointment." Marcus remarked, his pen hovering gracefully over the paper as he continued to document every word of the interaction. "For our ordinary silver lines, it isn't strictly mandatory, but for our Tier 1 premium collections, it is absolute store policy." Jennifer lied smoothly. Her assistant manager, a thin, intensely eager man in his mid-30s named David, suddenly appearing from the rear executive offices to position himself like a human shield right behind her. "These are not costume jewelry pieces that you can just play with," Sir David chimed in, trying to match his manager's condescending energy. "These are investments." Marcus merely glanced down, noticing his first-class boarding pass sticking slightly out of his inner pocket, revealing seat 2A, while his custom phone case caught the overhead crystal light, partially displaying a discreet, highly exclusive corporate crest that none of the local employees had the training to recognize. The live stream had already officially begun in the corner of the room where Jessica Martinez, a 24-year-old digital content creator with over 50,000 active followers, had subtly angled her device. "Oh my God, guys, you are literally not going to believe what is happening right in front of my face right now," Jessica whispered frantically into her hidden microphone, her screen showing the live viewer count rapidly climbing from 47 to over 85. "Within seconds, I am currently inside Meridian Fine Jewelry in Beverly Hills, and the management is actively trying to throw out this incredibly polite black man for absolutely no reason other than the fact that he's wearing a casual hoodie." The comment section exploded into a continuous waterfall of text, with viewers expressing immediate outrage, demanding to know the exact names of the staff, and calling for an immediate nationwide boycott of the entire luxury brand. Jennifer's assistant manager leaned in close, whispering nervously into her ear as he noticed the shifting atmosphere. "Jennifer, maybe we should handle this a bit more discreetly in the back office. There are too many people watching." "No!" Jennifer snapped back under her breath, completely blinded by her own arrogance. "I will absolutely not be intimidated or told how to run my own showroom floor by an underdressed loiterer. Sir, you need to step outside right now." The heavy glass doors swung open, and the primary building security officer arrived, a tall professional man in his late 50s named Robert Jackson, who had worked in luxury retail security for nearly 3 decades. Robert walked into the marble showroom with an experienced, analytical gaze, immediately assessing the layout, the body language of everyone involved, and the distinct lack of any physical threat. He observed Marcus standing completely still, holding nothing but a notebook and a pen, while Jennifer Walsh stood in an aggressive, hostile posture with her chest puffed out and her face flushed with anger. "Ma'am, what seems to be the critical issue requiring immediate security intervention?" Robert asked, his voice calm, polite, and completely objective. "This individual is refusing to vacate the premises after being explicitly informed multiple times that he does not possess a formal appointment and does not meet our customer criteria," Jennifer stated defensively, pointing a manicured finger toward Marcus. Robert turned his attention to the gentleman in the hoodie, treating him with the baseline dignity that his position demanded. "Sir, do you require any assistance, or is there a specific transaction you are attempting to complete today?" "I am here to pick up a custom-designed tennis bracelet that I purchased for my daughter's upcoming graduation." Marcus explained thoroughly. "I called ahead on Tuesday afternoon to confirm the completion, and I was assured the piece would be ready for pickup today." "You called ahead?" Robert repeated, his eyebrows raising slightly as he looked back at the store manager, expecting a logical explanation. "I have absolutely no internal record of any such phone call or custom order under his description," Jennifer claimed loudly, ensuring the entire room could hear her denial. "We don't just keep $80,000 custom items lying around for anyone to claim." Marcus calmly slid his leather notebook into his pocket and retrieved his smartphone, navigating directly to his encrypted call log before turning the screen toward the security officer and the manager. "On Tuesday, at exactly 2:17 p.m., I spoke directly with a representative at this location for 6 minutes, discussing order number C7399, Marcus stated clearly. Sarah, the young associate who had been standing quietly in the background, suddenly gasped slightly, her face turning a distinct shade of pale as she looked at the order number on the screen. Jennifer, I think I actually remember taking that specific phone call," Sarah murmured uncomfortably. "David was out at lunch at that exact time, so I processed the preliminary verbal confirmation for a custom gold piece." "Sarah, go to the back inventory room and check the physical logs immediately." Jennifer cut her off sharply, her voice dripping with venom as she tried to maintain absolute control over the narrative. The live stream viewer count on Jessica's phone had now reached an astonishing 200 concurrent viewers, and the digital audience was growing hungrier by the minute. "The energy in this room is getting incredibly toxic right now, guys," Jessica whispered to her camera. "This man is remaining completely polite, soft-spoken, and respectful, while this manager is treating him like a literal criminal in front of a dozen witnesses." An elderly woman who had been examining diamond rings near the front display cases suddenly walked forward, her expensive silk scarf fluttering as she stepped directly between Jennifer and Marcus. "Excuse me, but I have been a loyal, high-spending client of Meridian Fine Jewelry for over 20 consecutive years, and this is the most absolutely disgraceful display of customer service I have ever witnessed in my entire life," the elderly woman declared passionately, turning her sharp gaze directly onto the manager. "Young lady, you should be thoroughly ashamed of your behavior and your blatant lack of professionalism. Ma'am, with all due respect, I must ask you to remain entirely out of this corporate matter." Jennifer responded, her voice tight as she tried to suppress her rage. "We have strict security protocols to prevent fraudulent activities. I will absolutely not stay out of it. This is clear, unadulterated discrimination, plain and simple. And you are making an egregious mistake," the woman countered, refusing to back down. The showroom floor began to fracture as other customers started choosing sides based on the dramatic interaction. A middle-aged couple examining luxury watches shook their heads in complete disgust, whispering to each other about leaving without making a purchase, while two younger women near the engagement section openly expressed their disapproval of the manager's hostile tactics. However, not every single person in the room was on Marcus's side. A man dressed in a bespoke tailored suit near the entrance nodded approvingly at Jennifer's aggressive caution, muttering quietly to his companion that it was always better to be safe than sorry when dealing with high-value luxury goods. Jennifer noticed the shifting crowd dynamic, and realized she needed to solidify her authority before she completely lost control of the room. "I am calling my direct regional district supervisor right now. We have explicit corporate protocols designed for handling uncooperative individuals who disrupt our business operations," she announced proudly, pulling out her corporate tablet and dialing the internal emergency video link. The video connection was established within seconds, and the face of Richard Peterson, a stern corporate district supervisor in his late 50s, appeared on the large high-definition screen from his regional office. "Yes, Jennifer. I see your high priority alert. What is the nature of the situation at the Beverly Hills branch?" Richard asked, his brow furrowed with professional concern. "Richard, we have a highly critical situation involving a suspicious individual who entered our showroom without any appointment, became instantly belligerent when asked to follow standard verification procedures, and is now attempting to claim a massive custom order that has no local paperwork," Jennifer explained rapidly, carefully framing the story to make herself look like a defending hero. Marcus didn't interrupt her fabricated narrative once. Instead, he simply continued to use his fountain pen to document the entire event in his notebook, recording the staff positions, the exact phrases used, the security officer's badge number, and the location of every overhead security camera. 10 minutes, Marcus whispered softly to himself, looking up at the digital countdown clock on the wall that is all the time required for the truth to manifest. Jessica's live stream had now broken past 350 viewers, and the chat was moving so fast it was becoming a blur of continuous support for the man in the hoodie. Sarah returned from the high-security back vault, her face completely drained of color as she held a folder of freshly printed corporate documents, her voice trembling as she approached the manager's desk. "Jennifer, I've found the complete order file in the system. It's definitely verified and fully processed," she whispered, her hands shaking as she handed over the paperwork. "It's a custom Cartier tennis bracelet, 18-karat white gold, paid entirely in full." Jennifer's confident, arrogant expression flickered for a fraction of a second, a wave of cold panic washing over her face before she quickly recovered her composure. "That is completely impossible, Sarah. I personally oversee and process every single large-scale custom order at this location, and I was never notified of this transaction. It bypassed our local branch management approval system entirely because it was processed directly through the main corporate headquarters office," Sarah explained quietly, her eyes refusing to look at Marcus out of sheer embarrassment. The crystal chandeliers overhead continued to gleam, the digital clock continued its relentless countdown, and Marcus Chen allowed a small, knowing smile to appear on his face. Richard Peterson, the district supervisor, was studying the video feed on the tablet intensely, his corporate frown deepening as he looked at the man in the hoodie standing in the center of the Beverly Hills showroom. Something about the man's posture, his absolute calm in the face of intense public humiliation, and the steady way he held his pen, triggered a deep forgotten memory in the back of Richard's mind, but he couldn't quite place the face. "Jennifer, turn the tablet camera directly toward the customer so I can personally review the situation and speak with him," Richard commanded through the speaker. Jennifer gladly complied, angling the device toward Marcus with a smug look of satisfaction on her face, believing that her superior was about to reinforce her authority. "Sir, this is Richard Peterson, District Supervisor for Meridian Fine Jewelry. Can you provide any legitimate, verifiable physical proof of purchase for an item of this financial magnitude?" Richard asked, his voice firm but professional. Marcus reached calmly into his inner jacket pocket, a movement that caused Jennifer to take a dramatic, exaggerated step backward, raising her hands as if she believed he was reaching for a hidden weapon. "Easy there. "Let's keep your hands where we can see them," Jennifer warned loudly, attempting to create a false sense of danger for the customers watching. Marcus, ignoring her theatrical behavior, pulled out his personal smartphone and scrolled directly to his secure corporate email confirmations, displaying a series of high-level digital receipts and architectural design blueprints. Here is the primary order confirmation number C7749, followed by the immediate payment clearance notification and the extensive design correspondence with your primary manufacturing team in Paris, Marcus stated evenly, holding the phone up to the tablet camera. Richard squinted at the screen through the video link, his eyes straining to read the tiny digital text. "Jennifer, I cannot clearly read the specific metadata from this angle. Read me the verified financial figures and the exact name listed on Sarah's paperwork immediately." Sarah stepped forward, her voice barely audible over the hum of the showroom's climate control system. "The paperwork indicates that the order is completely legitimate, Mr. Peterson. The financial transaction was fully processed on Tuesday at exactly 2:43 p.m. for the total amount of $87,500. The massive number hung heavily in the air like a physical weight, causing several nearby customers to gasp audibly, while the man in the tailored suit near the door instantly crossed his arms, looking thoroughly stunned. $87,000. Jennifer stammered, her voice losing its sharp edge for the first time as a wave of genuine confusion and panic began to crack her confident exterior. "That's completely absurd. I would have received a direct commission alert on my personal terminal for any sale over $20,000 at this branch." "Actually," Sarah corrected gently, her eyes wide with realization this specific transaction was completely flagged for direct, high-priority corporate processing, meaning it bypassed local branch commission tracking and went straight to executive accounting. Richard's face on the screen suddenly went entirely pale, his eyes widening in sheer terror as the pieces of the puzzle began to violently fall into place in his mind. "Jennifer read me the exact customer name listed on that corporate invoice right now. The name listed on the primary account is M. Chen Sarah, read aloud from the document, and the verified payment method utilized was a corporate-issued American Express Centurion Black Card." Jessica's live stream had absolutely exploded by this point, with the viewer count skyrocketing past 800 concurrent watchers as the digital audience realized they were witnessing a historic corporate failure unfold in real time. "Oh my God, guys, the manager is literally about to lose her entire life right now," Jessica whispered enthusiastically to her stream. "This polite man just dropped nearly $90,000 on a bracelet, and she treated him like a shoplifter." Jennifer's assistant manager, David, leaned in close to her, his forehead dripping with sweat as he whispered urgently, "Jennifer, we need to completely de-escalate this situation right now. Something is seriously wrong with this file." "No," Jennifer hissed back, her pride completely preventing her from seeing the cliff she was about to walk off. "Anyone can easily forge a digital email confirmation or use a stolen corporate card. I want to see actual verified physical identification that matches the name on this system account before I ever authorize the release of an $87,000 asset." Marcus checked his watch once more, noting that exactly 7 minutes had passed since the confrontation began, leaving him with 3 minutes left on his internal timeline. "I completely understand your abundance of caution," Manager Marcus stated with an icy calm that made David's stomach turn over. "Would it perhaps make this process easier for you if I placed a direct phone call to your main corporate headquarters office to verify my identity?" "That will absolutely not be necessary, sir," Richard Peterson interjected from the tablet screen, his voice cracking with a high-pitched note of absolute panic that shocked Jennifer. Jennifer, pull up the master corporate personnel file for account verification on your main terminal this exact second. Jennifer's fingers flew across her mechanical keyboard, her long nails clicking loudly as she typed in the order number, her eyes scanning the hidden metadata fields that only senior staff could access. The blood completely drained from her face, her mouth dropping open in a silent scream of realization as her screen displayed the full unrestricted profile of the account holder, complete with an official high-definition corporate photograph of Marcus Chen, labeled clearly in bright gold text, Chairman, Founder, and Chief Executive Officer of Meridian Fine Jewelry Global Holdings. The silence that descended upon the Beverly Hills showroom was absolute, broken only by the faint rhythmic ticking of the digital countdown clock on the wall. Jennifer Walsh sat completely paralyzed at her desk, her hands hovering frozen over the keyboard as her eyes darted frantically between the official corporate photograph on her monitor and the man in the gray hoodie standing a few feet away. Richard Peterson's voice exploded through the tablet speaker, completely shattering the quiet atmosphere. "Jennifer, answer me right now. What does the master corporate terminal display for that account profile?" It says Marcus Chen. Jennifer whispered, her voice shaking so violently she could barely articulate the syllables. "It says he is the Chief Executive Officer." Every single customer in the room turned to look at Marcus with an expression of profound shock, while the elderly woman who had defended him let out a triumphant laugh, crossing her arms with immense satisfaction. Jessica's live stream chat went into a state of absolute hyperdrive, the viewer count instantaneously breaking past 1,200 concurrent viewers as news of the ultimate corporate plot twist spread across social media platforms like wildfire. "Oh my God, guys, he doesn't just own the bracelet, he literally owns the entire store, the building, and the company," Jessica screamed quietly into her phone. "This is the most legendary thing I have ever witnessed in my entire life on this app." Marcus casually stepped forward, his expression remaining entirely professional and unbothered as he placed his phone onto the counter. "I believe my identity has been sufficiently verified through your internal network," Jennifer Marcus stated calmly, his dark eyes locking onto her trembling form. Jennifer's phone suddenly began to buzz violently on her desk, the caller ID displaying a high-priority encrypted internal number, originating directly from executive operations at the corporate headquarters in Chicago. "Ma'am, I strongly advise you to answer that telephonic communication immediately," Robert Jackson, the security officer, suggested, stepping back and crossing his arms, a subtle smile appearing on his weathered face as he realized his instincts had been entirely correct. Jennifer's hand shook so much she accidentally dropped the phone twice before finally managing to slide the screen to accept the call, lifting it to her ear with a sense of impending doom. This is Jennifer Walsh, manager of the Beverly Hills branch," she stammered out, her voice reduced to a pathetic whimper. "Miss Walsh, this is Patricia Morrison, Senior Vice President of Global Retail Operations," the voice on the other end commanded, sounding incredibly sharp and authoritative. "I need you to place Mr. Marcus Chen on the line this exact second, and you are to remain silent until he instructs you otherwise." Jennifer slowly handed the phone across the glass counter, her eyes filled with tears of absolute regret as she looked up at the man she had tried to humiliate just 10 minutes prior. "I will take that call now," Jennifer Marcus said gently, taking the device from her hand and placing it on speakerphone so that everyone in the immediate vicinity could hear the conversation. "Patricia, this is Marcus. I am currently at the Beverly Hills showroom, he announced clearly into the microphone. Sir, I am so incredibly sorry. We just received an automated system alert that your private VIP transaction was flagged for local branch interference. Are you all right? And do you require us to dispatch executive transport to assist you? Patricia asked, her voice filled with genuine concern and deference. I am perfectly fine, Patricia. However, I believe we have some incredibly severe systemic issues regarding customer service, racial profiling, and management training at this specific location that require our immediate and unyielding attention, Marcus explained thoroughly. Absolutely, Mr. Chen, whatever actions or policy overhauls you deem necessary, we are fully prepared to execute them chain-wide within the hour, the vice president assured him. The elderly woman stepped closer to Jessica's smartphone camera, whispering loudly enough for the microphone to pick it up. He is the absolute founder of the entire brand. He owns 67% controlling interest of the company's global stock. This manager is completely finished. Richard Peterson was frantically typing on his own computer from his regional office, his face drenched in sweat, as he pulled up Jennifer's local personnel history, desperately trying to find a way to distance himself from her catastrophic failure. Mr. Chen, I want to offer my deepest, most sincere personal apologies for this unmitigated disaster. I had absolutely no idea you were planning an unannounced site visit to our district today. Richard pleaded through the tablet link. Richard, your local branch manager didn't fail today because I am the chief executive officer, Marcus responded, his voice hardening with a cold, precise authority that silenced the room. She failed because she believes it is acceptable to treat a paying human being with disrespect based entirely on their outward appearance and clothing. Marcus Chen stood in the center of his own showroom, the weight of his authority filling the space as he prepared to make an example of the situation. Jennifer, the primary issue here is not that you made a simple administrative mistake regarding my order, Marcus said, his voice echoing off the crystal chandeliers as he looked down at the weeping manager. The true issue is that you actively chose to double down on your prejudice, escalating a peaceful situation into a public spectacle even when presented with clear electronic evidence. I was honestly just trying to protect the high-value inventory from potential security threats. Mr. Chen, I am so incredibly sorry. Please give me a second chance. I can learn. I can do better. Jennifer begged, her hands clasped together in desperation. You were trying to protect the store from a customer who wanted to complete an $87,000 transaction. Marcus pointed out the sheer magnitude of the financial loss finally sinking into Jennifer's mind as she realized her actions had cost her branch its highest value sale of the quarter. David, the assistant manager, slowly backed away toward the rear office doors, hoping to escape Marcus's field of vision entirely, but Marcus turned his gaze directly toward him. David, as an assistant leader, your responsibility was to de-escalate the situation and verify the facts. Yet you chose to blindly support a discriminatory narrative without checking the terminal. Marcus noted, writing another phrase in his leather notebook. Patricia, are you still on the conference line? Marcus asked, lifting the speakerphone closer to his face. Yes, Mr. Chen, I am here along with our chief legal counsel, David Kim, who has just joined the audio bridge from our corporate office, the vice president responded instantly. Excellent, David. I want a complete, comprehensive review of all customer service protocols across every single one of our 23 North American luxury locations implemented within the next 48 hours, Marcus commanded. Furthermore, I want a full independent discrimination audit conducted at this Beverly Hills branch within 30 days, and a mandatory unconscious bias training program rolled out chain-wide for all 847 employees. We will execute those directives immediately. Mr. Chen, our legal team is already drafting the initial corporate compliance frameworks as we speak. David Kim confirmed from Chicago. Richard Peterson leaned in so close to his webcam that his face distorted on the tablet screen. Mr. Chen, how would you like me to officially handle the immediate employment status of Miss Walsh and the local management staff at the Beverly Hills branch? Richard, we will discuss specific staffing reassignments and structural terminations privately during our executive meeting tomorrow morning. But for now, I want an interim manager placed here immediately to restore operational integrity, Marcus ordered. The digital countdown clock on the showroom wall finally hit 000, signaling the official end of the store's spring promotional event. Marcus turned away from the desk and walked calmly over to the Cartier display case, where Sarah was standing completely frozen with her hands placed flat against the glass counter. Sarah, now that the internal system has fully verified my account profile, could you please go into the secure vault and retrieve my daughter's graduation bracelet? Marcus asked with a warm, encouraging smile that completely broke the tension for the young associate. Yes. Yes, of course, right away, Mr. Chen. Sarah stammered, relief washing over her face as she quickly utilized her security clearance card to unlock the heavy rear door. With remarkably careful movements, she brought out an exquisite velvet box, opening it to reveal a breathtaking white gold tennis bracelet encrusted with flawless diamonds that caught the light like brilliant stars. It is absolutely beautiful, Sarah. My daughter is going to cherish this piece for the rest of her life, Marcus said softly, examining the craftsmanship of the luxury artifact. Jessica angled her smartphone camera to capture the glittering jewelry, her live stream audience now surpassing an unprecedented 2,500 concurrent viewers. Guys, after being publicly humiliated and almost thrown out by security, he is still completing the purchase because he keeps his promises to his family. That is absolute class and true leadership. Right there, Jessica told her rapidly scrolling chat room. Marcus signed the final digital receipt with Sarah's assistance, completing the transaction for $87,500 plus local luxury tax. Sarah, you handled an incredibly difficult and unfair situation today with as much grace and professionalism as possible. Under the circumstances, Marcus said explicitly, looking directly into her eyes. Do not worry about your position with this company. Your job is entirely secure, and your honesty today did not go unnoticed. Thank you so much, Mr. Chen. Thank you. Sarah whispered, tears of gratitude welling up in her eyes as she bowed her head respectfully. Marcus picked up the velvet box, placing it carefully inside his inner jacket pocket next to his notebook, and turned to face the crowd of customers who were still recording the entire event. I want to sincerely thank each of you for witnessing what transpired here today. Your willingness to stand up for dignity and document the truth will actively help us make meaningful, lasting changes across our entire global brand, Marcus announced to the room. The elderly woman smiled warmly, stepping forward to shake his hand. Young man, you handled yourself with absolute perfection and grace. Your parents raised an incredible leader. Thank you, ma'am. Your kind words and your willingness to speak up mean absolutely everything to me, Marcus replied genuinely. He cast one final sorrowful look at Jennifer Walsh, who was still weeping quietly at her desk. Jennifer, I sincerely hope you take some time away from retail to deeply reflect on your behavior today, because true leadership is about lifting people up, not tearing them down based on your own assumptions. With his daughter's graduation gift securely in hand, Marcus Chen walked calmly and confidently through the heavy glass doors of his own jewelry store, stepping out into the bright California sunshine as a free man. The emergency corporate conference call officially commenced at exactly 4:47 p.m. A mere 17 minutes after Marcus Chen had walked out of the Beverly Hills showroom. 8 top-tier executive board members joined the encrypted audio network from various corporate offices across the country, their voices filled with tension as Patricia Morrison, Senior Vice President of Global Operations, took control of the session. Ladies and gentlemen, we are currently facing a code-red public relations situation of unprecedented proportions, Patricia announced gravely to the digital assembly. The incident that occurred at our Beverly Hills branch less than 20 minutes ago has gone completely viral across multiple social media platforms simultaneously. David Kim from the corporate legal department instantly pulled up the live streaming metrics, sharing his screen with the executive team. Our data monitors indicate that the primary live stream captured by a customer peaked at over 4,000 concurrent viewers, and secondary screen recordings are currently being shared exponentially on TikTok, Instagram, and X. Marcus, who was now sitting inside his Tesla Model S parked in a quiet corner of the store's parking lot, connected his phone to the vehicle's Bluetooth system to join the call. "Patricia, give me a precise update on our current crisis response protocol status." Marcus commanded, his voice completely calm but carrying a sharp, razor-thin edge that put every executive on high alert. "We have initiated full crisis activation. Mr. Chen, our public relations team is actively monitoring all digital channels. Customer service hotlines are being flooded with inquiries, and our after-hours trading stock valuation has already dropped by 2%. Patricia reported thoroughly. Richard Peterson, the district supervisor who was still connected to the video bridge, looked as though he had aged 5 years. In the span of 20 minutes, his voice trembling as he spoke up. "Mr. Chen, I have personally initiated an exhaustive review of all local personnel files at the Beverly Hills location, and I discovered that Jennifer Walsh has 3 separate prior customer service complaints regarding exclusionary and discriminatory behavior logged against her over the past 24 months. 3 separate formal complaints over 2 years. Marcus repeated, his voice dangerously quiet as a heavy, suffocating silence fell over the conference line, and she was still maintained in a high-level branch management position with full authority over customer relations. Nobody on the executive board dared to utter a word, knowing that the structural failure reached deep into regional oversight. Richard I want every single one of those complaint files placed directly onto my digital desk within the next hour, and I want a comprehensive investigation into exactly which regional managers chose to ignore those warnings and why no disciplinary action was taken," Marcus ordered sternly. Sandra Williams, the chief head of human resources, cleared her throat nervously before joining the conversation. "Mr. Chen, from an HR perspective, we must handle Miss Walsh's immediate termination with extreme legal precision to completely avoid any potential wrongful termination lawsuits or labor disputes. Sandra, she actively discriminated against a paying customer on company-owned property in front of a dozen independent witnesses. And we possess unedited, live-streamed video evidence of the entire event," Marcus stated flatly. "What legitimate wrongful termination risk could you possibly be concerned about in this scenario?" "Sir," her legal counsel, could potentially argue that she was simply attempting to follow our vaguely worded suspicious behavior protocol outlined in the old employee handbook, Sandra explained defensively. Suspicious behavior. Marcus echoed, his voice dropping an octave as the tension on the call reached a breaking point. Define suspicious behavior for me right now, Sandra, because I want to know exactly what aspect of my conduct today was deemed suspicious by our corporate standards. Was it the fact that I walked into a luxury showroom wearing a cotton hoodie? Was it the fact that I was a black man in Beverly Hills? Or was it the fact that I wanted to purchase a custom gold piece for my daughter? I didn't mean to imply that your behavior was suspicious at all, Mr. Chen. I was merely analyzing their potential legal defense strategy. Sandra stammered, completely backing down under his intense scrutiny. Our legal position is entirely indefensible from their side, Mr. Chen. David Kim interjected smoothly. Saving his colleague from further embarrassment, Miss Walsh made multiple verbal statements on that recording that constitute a clear violation of federal anti-discrimination laws, and we have zero liability exposure regarding her immediate dismissal. Excellent. David, I want you to draft a completely revised comprehensive anti-discrimination policy within the next 48 hours, and every single employee in this organization will complete it. Marcus finalized. Patricia Morrison pulled up the real-time financial projection models on her monitor, her voice serious as she highlighted the potential economic fallout of the viral incident. Sir, the immediate revenue impact at the local level could be quite substantial, as the Beverly Hills branch alone generates approximately $2.3 million in annual sales, and this event could severely damage consumer confidence across our entire retail chain if left unaddressed. Patricia, what is our current demographic breakdown for our highest-spending, high-value luxury clients across all North American markets? Marcus questioned analytically. Approximately 38% of our Tier 1 VIP customers identify as ethnic minorities, Mr. Chen, and their average transaction amount is 62% higher than our general baseline customer demographic. Patricia read directly from the corporate database. The staggering economic implications hung heavily in the digital air of the conference call. Losing the trust and patronage of minority communities would completely devastate the company's profit margins and brand equity within a single fiscal quarter. Our marketing director, James Patterson, connected from his office in Los Angeles, looking intensely focused. Mr. Chen, we are seeing a massive surge in social media engagement, and the hashtag #DignityFirst is currently trending nationally on multiple platforms, giving us a unique opportunity to control the narrative through a coordinated PR statement. James, I do not want to control, manipulate, or spin anything. I want to permanently fix the underlying systemic problem within our corporate culture. Marcus countered instantly. I want a public statement drafted that openly acknowledges our failure, takes absolute responsibility for the incident, and outlines concrete, measurable changes we are implementing immediately. Sir, traditional corporate governance usually dictates that legal teams thoroughly review and sanitize all public statements regarding discrimination to limit institutional exposure, James noted carefully. This is not a traditional discrimination incident where we can hide behind vague legal terminology. James, this is a scenario where the actual owner of the company was profiled in his own store, and we are going to be completely transparent with our audience, Marcus asserted with absolute finality. Meanwhile, back at the physical Beverly Hills location, absolute chaos reigned supreme as 3 local television news vans arrived on the scene. their satellite dishes extending into the air. Reporters with microphones were actively interviewing departing customers on the sidewalk, while Sarah was inside, desperately trying to field an endless torrent of media phone calls, while simultaneously attempting to assist actual clients who remained in the showroom. The newly appointed interim manager, Michael Torres, had just been rushed over from the nearby Century City location to take immediate control of operations. Michael was a 20-year veteran of high-end luxury retail, but he had never walked into an operational crisis quite as volatile as this one. Richard Peterson updated the executive conference call via his tablet. Mr. Chen interim management is officially on the scene, and Michael Torres has assumed full operational control of the Beverly Hills branch while we conduct our internal investigation. Good, Michael. Are you currently connected to this audio bridge? Marcus asked into his phone. Yes, Mr. Chen, I am here, Michael responded professionally. I have already reviewed the preliminary incident reports and the security footage, and I want to offer my personal commitment to recturing this branch's culture immediately. Michael, you were not responsible for what happened today, but I need you to implement 3 immediate operational mandates at that location, starting this exact hour, Marcus instructed. Every single customer who walks through those glass doors must be warmly greeted within 30 seconds of entry. Absolutely nobody is to be judged or profiled based on their outward clothing or appearance, and no employee will ever question a client's financial capacity to afford our products. Understood, Mr. Chen. I will personally brief the entire local staff before we open for business tomorrow morning, Michael promised. Sandra, from HR, spoke up one final time. Mr. Chen, we need to finalize the specific details regarding Miss Walsh's severance package, as she has been an active manager with our company for over 4 consecutive years. Sandra, clear discrimination is an egregious violation of federal law and our core corporate bylaws, making it a non-severance eligible offense. Marcus finalized coldly. Document her termination with absolute legal precision based on her policy violations, but do not expect this company to reward toxic behavior with a single penny of shareholder money. The financial markets had officially closed for the day, but after-hours electronic trading showed a continuous, steady decline in the luxury brand's public stock valuation as the viral video gained international traction. The chief financial officer, Robert Martinez, joined the executive conference call from his residence, presenting the preliminary Q2 revenue impact projections to Marcus and the board. Mr. Chen, if this viral narrative continues to dominate the news cycle without a substantial counter-response, our consumer sentiment analysis suggests we could experience a noticeable contraction in our primary luxury segments. Break down that sentiment data for me. More specifically, Robert, how are different consumer groups responding to the footage? Marcus asked, steering his Tesla out of the parking lot and onto the main boulevard. We are seeing immense, overwhelming support and solidarity from younger demographics and minority communities who are praising your calm demeanor, but there is some expressed concern from traditional old-money luxury shoppers who are uncomfortable with the negative publicity surrounding the brand name. The CFO explained thoroughly. Marcus considered the data for a long moment before responding with absolute clarity. Robert, what exact percentage of our total corporate revenue growth over the past 3 fiscal years has been driven by diverse customer segments? Approximately 74% of our net revenue expansion is directly attributed to diverse demographics, sir, the CFO answered precisely. Then our strategic focus will remain entirely on doing what is morally and operationally right for those specific customers, Marcus declared firmly. The traditional old money market that feels uncomfortable with the concept of absolute equality and dignity for all shoppers is simply no longer our primary target demographic. Patricia Morrison re-entered the conversation to highlight the massive operational hurdles ahead. Mr. Chen implementing a comprehensive chain-wide training program and policy overhaul across 23 separate luxury locations will require a substantial allocation of corporate resources and funding. Patricia, I want you to calculate the exact cost of hiring top-tier external diversity consultants to train all 847 of our employees and calculate the cost of deploying new customer service monitoring systems, Marcus commanded. Patricia ran the analytical numbers through her financial software within seconds, presenting the results to the board. The comprehensive company-wide bias training program will cost approximately $340,000, and the system-wide customer service protocol updates will require around $150,000, bringing our total investment to just under $500,000. And what is the projected financial loss if we lose 38% of our high-value minority customer base due to institutional inaction? Marcus questioned. The potential lost revenue from high-value customer defection could easily exceed $12 million annually. Sir, Patricia answered, her voice reflecting the stark contrast between the two figures. Then we will immediately invest the $500,000 to protect the $12 million and restore our brand's moral integrity. Authorize both expenditures. This exact minute, Marcus finalized. David Kim from the legal department checked his digital dashboard. Mr. Chen, public sentiment is beginning to shift in a highly positive direction following the release of our transparent corporate statement, and thousands of comments are actively pledging to shop at Meridian specifically because of your leadership. That is certainly gratifying to hear, David, but we are absolutely not executing these systemic changes for marketing purposes or public relations points. We are doing this because treating human beings with baseline dignity is the only correct way to operate a business, Marcus stated. The executive conference call continued for another 43 minutes. Meticulously covering internal employee communications, media relations strategies, and strict implementation timelines for the new initiatives. By the time Marcus hung up the phone, a comprehensive corporate action plan dubbed the Dignity First Initiative was officially locked in, featuring mandatory unconscious bias training, quarterly diversity audits, and an anonymous internal reporting system for discrimination concerns. Patricia summarized the execution timeline. The revised anti-discrimination policies will be distributed within 48 hours. The comprehensive training program will launch within 30 days, and full system-wide compliance will be achieved within 90 days. Make it happen, Marcus concluded, tapping his steering wheel as he looked at the velvet box sitting on the passenger seat, knowing that some lessons were worth every single penny. Exactly 6 weeks after the dramatic confrontation in Beverly Hills, the measurable transformation across the entire corporate structure of Meridian Fine Jewelry was nothing short of extraordinary. Jennifer Walsh's termination from the company had been swift, immediate, and legally absolute, her desperate attempts to appeal the executive decision completely falling apart when HR presented her documented history of complaints alongside the undeniable video evidence. She had recently managed to find employment at a very small, isolated clothing boutique in Pasadena, where she maintained an incredibly low profile and consistently declined all media interview requests out of deep embarrassment. Conversely, the Beverly Hills showroom had miraculously skyrocketed to become the single highest-performing retail store in the company's entire national network, experiencing a massive 34% increase in month-over-month revenue driven by thousands of new customers who specifically chose to support the business after the viral video. Sarah, the young retail associate who had bravely tried to de-escalate the situation and locate the missing paperwork, received a major promotion to assistant branch manager along with a well-deserved $5,000 performance bonus. She was now personally leading the customer service onboarding program for all newly hired associates across the regional district, ensuring her positive approach became the standard. Michael Torres, the interim manager, officially accepted the permanent position of store director after successfully implementing every single one of Marcus's new operational policies with absolute precision. Customer satisfaction scores at the Beverly Hills branch reached an all-time company record high of 98%, proving that inclusivity and profitability went hand in hand. The Dignity First initiative officially launched company-wide on a beautiful Tuesday morning in June, with all 847 employees participating in mandatory intensive training sessions conducted by Dr. Amara Okafor, a renowned diversity consultant from UCLA. This training was absolutely not a generic, superficial corporate sensitivity program. It utilized real-world retail scenarios, including the actual unedited security footage from the Beverly Hills incident, to clearly demonstrate how implicit bias actively harms customer relations. Employees learned to consciously recognize their own assumptions, dismantle stereotypes, and respond with uniform professionalism to every single individual who crossed the threshold of a Meridian store. Marcus Chen insisted on personally attending every single training session himself, not as a distant CEO making a brief appearance for public relations points, but as an active participant who sat amongst the sales staff and openly shared his own lifelong experiences with discrimination. During a session at the Century City branch, Marcus stood before a room of 23 employees and spoke from the heart. That afternoon in Beverly Hills was not an isolated or unique incident in my life. It was simply the very first time it happened to someone who possessed the absolute corporate power to change the entire system from within. His powerful words resonated deeply with the retail staff, prompting multiple employees to openly share their own encounters with bias, creating an uncomfortable but entirely necessary dialogue that permanently shifted the company culture. Technology also played a pivotal role in sustaining these massive organizational changes, as Meridian successfully implemented a sophisticated system across all regional networks to monitor service metrics. The digital system tracked baseline greeting times, total interaction durations, and overall language patterns across all customer demographics to instantly flag any potential anomalies. Within the very first month of deployment, the system highlighted 12 specific customer interactions that required immediate management coaching, allowing store directors to intervene and provide constructive guidance before any major issues could manifest. Furthermore, anonymous internal reporting from employees increased by 400%, indicating that staff members finally felt entirely safe reporting legitimate discrimination concerns without any fear of corporate retaliation or professional abandonment. The comprehensive quarterly diversity audits revealed incredible insights into changing consumer behaviors, showing that high-value minority clients had increased their average luxury spending by 23% since the implementation of the new policies. Extensive exit interviews with newly acquired customers revealed that many affluent individuals had actively avoided luxury retailers for years due to past experiences with profiling, and they now viewed Meridian as a safe haven of respect. Marcus Chen's personal email inbox was continuously flooded with hundreds of heartfelt messages from everyday citizens and high-profile consumers across the nation, each sharing their own personal stories of overcoming bias. A retired university professor from Atlanta wrote a moving note stating, "I have been treated with profound disrespect and suspicion in high-end retail establishments my entire life, despite my academic achievements. And reading about your experience and seeing your dignified response gives me genuine hope that structural change is actually possible." A young civil litigator from Chicago shared a similar sentiment, writing, "I watched the viral video with my young daughter, and when she asked me why that manager was being so mean to you, I told her that sometimes people make terrible mistakes. But true character is defined by how we choose to build something better from the ruins." The massive financial impact of the initiative completely exceeded the board's most optimistic projections as Meridian's public stock price fully recovered within 2 weeks and reached an all-time high by the conclusion of the fiscal quarter. Wall Street analysts openly attributed this unprecedented growth to the company's dramatically improved brand reputation, enhanced consumer trust, and rapidly expanding market share among diverse demographics. The prestigious Harvard Business School officially requested formal permission from Marcus to utilize the corporate transformation as a cornerstone case study for their upcoming MBA curriculum. The case study, titled "Crisis as Catalyst: Transforming Retail Discrimination into Organizational Excellence," quickly became mandatory required reading for graduate students studying modern leadership and corporate ethics. Marcus's eldest daughter, Emma, officially graduated from Stanford Law School with highest honors, walking across the stage to receive her degree while wearing the beautiful white gold Cartier tennis bracelet her father had fought so hard to retrieve. However, during the private family graduation reception later that evening, Emma stood before the gathered family members and delivered a deeply emotional speech that put everything into perspective. She looked directly at her father and said, "My dad could have easily utilized his immense financial wealth and corporate power to completely destroy the individuals who tried to humiliate him in public, but instead he chose to use that painful moment to build a better, fairer system for thousands of retail workers and shoppers. And that is the exact definition of the leader I aspire to become in my legal career." The entire luxury retail industry quickly took notice of Meridian's massive success, and 3 of the company's largest global competitors quietly began implementing similar mandatory bias training programs within their own networks. The National Retail Federation officially invited Marcus to serve as the keynote speaker at their annual international convention in New York to address the critical importance of inclusive customer service in the modern economy. His keynote address, titled "The True Economic Cost of Prejudice," was uploaded to YouTube and quickly amassed over 200,000 views, delivering a simple but incredibly powerful message to business leaders worldwide. Treating every single human being with equal dignity is not only a moral imperative, it is an exceptionally smart, long-term economic strategy. Independent mystery shopper audits consistently confirmed the absolute effectiveness of the new training programs, showing zero statistical variance in service quality across different racial or ethnic demographics at all Meridian locations. Jennifer Walsh eventually reached out through a formal legal intermediary, expressing a deep desire to meet with Marcus Chen at a neutral location to offer her sincere personal apologies for her actions. Marcus, true to his principles of growth and redemption, agreed to meet her at a quiet, secluded coffee shop along the coast in Santa Monica on a quiet weekday afternoon. I have spent literally every single day since that catastrophic incident deeply analyzing my behavior and thinking about the immense harm I caused. Jennifer said, her voice barely above a whisper as she looked down at her hands. I completely destroyed my own career, brought immense embarrassment upon my family, and deeply hurt an innocent man who did nothing to deserve it. I do not expect you to grant me forgiveness today, Mr. Chen, but I absolutely needed you to know that I finally understand exactly how wrong I was. Marcus listened to her entire statement with absolute patience and a calm, objective demeanor before offering his perspective. Jennifer, truly recognizing the inherent harm of your actions is always the absolute first step toward genuine personal growth, and I sincerely hope you utilize this painful experience to become a more empathetic and self-aware human being in the future. She nodded slowly, wiping away a tear as she explained her new path. I am currently volunteering 30 hours a week with a regional civil rights organization, leading customer service workshops for small local businesses to ensure that nobody else ever has to experience the humiliation that occurred in your store. That is incredibly meaningful and productive work. Jennifer and I genuinely wish you the absolute best on your journey of personal rehabilitation, Marcus replied cordially before they parted ways. Marcus never spoke publicly about that private meeting, firmly believing that true personal redemption is a quiet, internal journey that should never be utilized for corporate marketing or public relations points. The profound long-term impact of the Beverly Hills incident extended far beyond the jewelry industry, inspiring major luxury hospitality brands and high-end automotive retailers to thoroughly review their own internal customer service policies. Today, every single Meridian fine jewelry showroom features a small, elegant bronze plaque displayed near the primary entrance that states simply, "We serve every single customer with absolute dignity, respect, and uniform excellence." 1 year later, Marcus Chen stood before 400 top-tier retail executives at the National Commerce Convention, delivering a powerful concluding statement that encapsulated his entire philosophy. The most expensive operational lesson my company ever had to learn cost us exactly $0 in net capital. He began with a confident smile. It was the exact moment we discovered that our ultimate success as a luxury brand depends entirely not on who we choose to exclude, but on who we choose to welcome with open arms. Have you ever experienced profiling or discrimination in a retail environment? Share your personal journey in the comments below, because your voice matters and can help others feel less alone. And if this story inspired you to choose growth over revenge, hit that subscribe button and share this video today. Together, we are not just sharing powerful stories. We are actively writing the next chapter of what global business can truly become when it is built upon the unbreakable foundation of human dignity, mutual respect, and the fundamental understanding that every single individual story matters.